Demetrius Andrade gets at Canelo and says he needs to fight young guys, young champions. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus UFC 246 ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Use my link. It does help the channel. Demetrius Andrade is getting ready for his fight the week before Super Bowl, and he's fighting an unknown guy, Lucas Keeler. He talked about Canelo. I want to go over some of the quotes. He says, "I can't knock the strategy in the business sense, but when is Canelo going to fight someone who's in their prime, hungry, and going to give boxing fans and also the world the greatest fights out here?" Demetrius Andrade continues by saying, "For me, I'm fighting the toughest guys out there. I'm not fighting old men." And he said, Canelo fighting a lot of 40-year-old Shane Mosley and Crusher Kovalev. That's not the guy. That's not the same Crusher. He says, the types of guys that Canelo's fighting, they may have the name like, yeah, that's the Crusher. He did his thing, but he's not the Crusher that we all know. That's like me going in there and fighting Roy Jones now. That's not the Roy Jones that we all know. So me getting that victory over Roy Jones, okay, I beat Roy Jones. For me, there's only so many guys out there for me, and there's only so many guys out there for them as well. It has to happen. If I continue beating top 10 guys and they continue to beat top 10 guys, then only us is left still. What are we going to do? Wait until the young guys come up? I'm going to be old then, and I'm going to be like, I don't want to fight the young, hungry guys. You guys got that. I want to give my thoughts on this. I agree with Demetrius Andrade. You know, if Canelo fights whoever he's fighting and Andrade the fights, if they keep winning, then people are still going to clamor for the fight. So, you know, might as well get it out the way when you're on the same side, especially. And it's funny because of fights that are harder to make, old media like Terrence Crawford and let's say Errol Spence, definitely going to be harder to make for obvious reasons. Errol Spence, they're branding him. He's becoming a star. He's unifying. He's fighting big fights, big money fights, getting his brand up, etc. And, you know, Bud Crawford's the only person over on Top Rank of any really remote interest to the Danny Garcia, Sean Porters, Errol Spence, etc. They have so many in-house welterweight fights that could be made. It's not even funny with PBC. So the difference is, I don't see the same energy. All the people clamoring for Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence from old media, I don't see them putting the same emphasis on Triple G, who's over there on DAZN, Canelo, who's over there on DAZN, to fight Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. And we know why. You know, what's understood don't have to be explained. And it's sad for Demetrius Andrade, and it's really sad for DAZN. Sad for DAZN for the simple fact that DAZN, people said Charlo needed to go to DAZN, a PBC fighter who's been fighting on Showtime. You know, he's fought on Fox as well, to open up the Fox with his brother. Jermell and Jamal both fought there, and I was at that fight. But what's sad is people told Charlo he needed to sign to DAZN. Hey, you want the big fights? Then it's pretty much mandatory. We got the best middleweights to super middleweights, right? And if you want those best fights, you have to sign to us. And now all of a sudden Eddie Hearns almost clout chasing, not almost, he is clout chasing. And Andrade is fighting Lucas Keeler, who nobody even cares about that particular fight like that. And he's mixing it in with YouTube fights, and they have to clout chase Charlo's name. Meanwhile, one of the Charlos just fought Tony Harrison on Fox and was top 3 most rated boxing on regular cable. You know, it did over 2 million views. So the power is definitely shifting. Before, you've seen the narrative change where, hey, okay, now Eddie Hearn is saying, which has been rebuked, I guess, or rebutted by Tim Smith of PBC. He says, I don't know who Eddie Hearn sent that offer to Charlo from. Well, I don't know who he sent it to, but you know, maybe in his head he sent it to somebody, which is basically kind of denouncing that. And then in this interview with Demetrius Andrade, they said, "Oh, are you getting anywhere with the Charlo fight?" He says that, "Oh yeah, Eddie Hearns probably, looking at my next fight, and I got to get past that first, and then we can go back to the table to see what else is at the table." So once again, this is more proof that Eddie Hearns is clout chasing, because Andrade was just asked in the same interview, link in the description, about fighting Charlo. And Eddie Hearn is leaking to media and telling people and doing interviews that they sent a massive offer, $7 million for Charlo to fight. But then Andre's saying that they're not even really focused on the Charlo fight because Eddie Hearn knows I got to get past this Lucas Keeler dude. So what's the point of even talking about Charlo when you have an upcoming opponent, which is what I've been saying. Once again, new media, we just keep getting it right. So I feel bad for Andrade. Because he's not being promoted like the talent that he is, and he's not getting the fights that he deserves. At the very least, he should have already fought Billy Joe Saunders. That should be a given. He should have gotten a guy like Caleb Smith. Definitely should have got the Triple G and Canelo fights. These are the fights. The only thing that DAZN has been doing, it haven't been building his brand, is paying him for his fights and giving him other people's leftovers. Guys like Maj Suleski, right? A guy that Danny Jacobs beat. Guys like Lucas Keeler, who Luis Cuba Arias already fought, and lost to. That no one knows his brand. And then overshadowing it by giving two YouTubers their own press conference. It's just sad. It's sad because Andrade clearly hungry and starving for the best fights and opportunities to prove himself, and he's not getting it. And he's not being moved in a position in America where he can move units with the type of opponents he's getting. Like Jermell Charlo, he could fight a guy like Jorge Cota last minute on Fox and do numbers, do decent numbers at least. Or, Charlo Adams, Charlo versus Hogan. They can do decent numbers that actually come out. With DAZN, you don't know what the numbers are because they never come out. And it's just little fights that don't really bolster Andrade's brand. And he's like screaming and begging for a big fight. And how is Billy Joe Saunders fail a drug test, duck out of the Andrade fight because he can't fight because he failed a drug test, which is his bad, something banned in your system. And he gets possibly a Canelo fight. That's what the rumor is, that Canelo may fight him. So how would Billy Joe Saunders have earned the Canelo fight, failing drug tests and not fighting nobody, fighting she fat, he thick? And then Andrade been loyal to DAZN, and one of the first signings before Triple G and Canelo even, or Billy Joe Saunders, got there. And that black fighter, he can't get those opportunities. He has to fight Lucas Keeler and not get promoted right, And then Eddie Hearn always has something to say about, I'm worried about the way Tank's being promoted, and other guys that are of no concern to him, like Deontay Wilder and Charlo. It's just a bunch of used car salesman talk. What about what you're doing with your fighters? Where's Andrade's promotion? How come he's being overshadowed by two YouTubers? How come you're even trying to integrate YouTube fights with real boxers and putting guys like Tevin Farmer and Joseph Jojo Diaz on the back burner? It looks like it's going to be a bad year for DAZN. The start that they're off to. And again, I feel bad for Andrade. I don't know when it's going to improve for him. He's a quality fighter. He keeps calling out Canelo, but the loyal Canelo man fans, they're going to make excuses and say, "Oh, no, he's boring." And that's another thing that makes Canelo look bad. Canelo says Andrade is boring, very, very boring. How are we even talking about him fighting Billy Joe Saunders? How is Billy Joe Saunders super exciting, but Andrade is so boring? How is Rocky Fielding getting his ass beat from pillar to post? How is that super exciting and nobody knows him, but Andrade would be such a horrible, dreadful fight? Canelo is clearly ducking out and not trying to fight primarily African-American, American U.S. styles, guys rhythmic, guys with a jab, guys with athleticism, guys with reflexes and stuff like that. Or the guys that are bigger than him and strong, like David Benavidez, Zurdo Ramirez, Artur Beterbiev, or anybody with that kind of slick style that's already given him problems, like Lada, Caleb Plant, stuff like that. So, you know, I think we're going to continue to see stuff. And then, you know, Canelo's probably going to have to fight Andrade because his brand is going to keep dwindling down. And it's just sad that we have to wait for it. But new media, I mean, at this point, I'm just sick of getting it right so much. I told you that Kovalev was an advanced cherry pick. I have an interview that I talked to Jean Pascal myself before his last fight, and he says, oh yeah, that's not, he said Canelo fought Crusher, props to him, but that's not the Crusher Kovalev that I fought. And then now you have Andrade saying the same thing. But I told you guys this from the beginning. I said that he was fighting an advanced cherry pick. We know this is not. So I have interviews that I've done with Andre Ward and Jean Pascal who said this Kovalev ain't the same. Andre Ward told me, looked me in the eyes and told me, as I'm filming, I don't trust Kovalev because, you know, he be woofing and saying this and that. And, you know, I don't think, and this was before the Yard fight. No, actually, I don't know if it was before. It was after the, I don't know. It was before or after the Yard fight, but he says he don't know. Oh, I think it was before the Canelo fight, but after the Yard fight, you know. But he said he don't trust Kovalev. He said Kovalev ain't the same. I told you guys he ain't been the same since Dre Ward. And Jean Pascal said the same thing. Now you have Demetrius Andrade saying the same thing. Conveniently, as I mentioned, this is who Canelo's picking. Guys like that. Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley wasn't in his prime. He had already lost to Mayweather, already lost to Vernon Forrest twice, already lost to Pacquiao. But more recent memory, it was Pacquiao, Mayweather, and had a draw with Sergio Mora. And then Canelo fought him, you know, at age 40. Carlos Baldomir was 41. Jose Cito Lopez was undersized. A lot of British and domestic level guys, you know, and this is the MO. Canelo doesn't want to fight certain styles, period. And they keep him away from those certain styles. His team is on record. You can find this on Google saying they didn't want to fight Willie Monroe, and Golovkin had already knocked him out. It's the style. They don't like certain styles for Canelo. They know what he's good at, and they know he's making money, and everybody wants to milk that, and they want to keep the gravy train flowing. Coaches, trainers, networks, promoters, they want to keep that going because it greases up their pockets, period. Let me know what you guys think about Andrade. He said a lot of truth, but, you know, he doesn't have DAZN as a platform pushing for the best fights for him. So, you know, I don't know when he's going to get it. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.